What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the show Wine Swirlix here on the Soul Blaze YouTube channel. I'm your host, Soul Blaze. Who would have guessed? We're back with episode 2. Today, we're talking about the Little Cup monster that not many people know about, Skrelp, which I'm super excited to talk to you about today. So without any further ado, I think we're just gonna get straight into it. But before we do that, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe down below if you enjoy this series here on YouTube, if you enjoy the content I do with my Wi-Fi battles and the series, and if you like what I do on Twitch as well, then feel free to drop me a follow. Every ounce of support that you can show will go a long way in helping me build this channel and community, so I really appreciate it. And it takes 2 seconds, so literally pause the video right now, go make sure it's done. I super appreciate it, and yeah, let's get going. So Skrelp. Okay, this Pokemon, many people only know this Pokemon through its evolution, which is Dragalge. And coming into Little Cup, the assumptions that I'm probably going to guess are going to be, well, Dragalge is incredibly specially defensive, and it's incredibly especially offensive, but it's slow. So it's going to be like this slow kind of nuke using adaptability and double stab and Draco Meteor and stuff like that. And it's going to have Assault Vest and be super tanky on the special side, so you're going to hit it with physical ground moves and stuff like that. Skrelp works a little bit differently, but in major ways it works almost the same. Is it a slow nuke? Yes. The speed tier, as you can see on your screen, is a little bit off, but these stats are very different than what Dragalge is packing, so we'll get a little bit into that as we go. But the main thing you want to take note of is that it's actually just as physically bulky as it is specially bulky, and it is as physically offensive as it is specially offensive. So this is much more of an all-rounder than what Dragalge is. Dragalge has this niche which helps it fill a specific role much better, but Skrelp does, like, it has a lot more potential utility through the use of its stats. So we'll get more into that as we go. Obviously, also a main difference is that it's not Poison Dragon, just like Dragalge is. It doesn't become Dragon until it becomes a Dragalge. This is a Poison Water type, just like Tentacool, or just like Mareanie and stuff like that. So that changes completely how adaptability is going to work, because you're not going to get that adaptability boosted Draco, and not that Skrelp learns Draco yet, you know, but it's not Dracos you're going to be clicking, it's Hydro Pumps. So that's going to be a little bit different. The poison pretty much stays the same, but one thing to note of is that if you go, like, you can go special and you can go physical. It's a slow nuke. It's not a slow special nuke, it's not a slow physical nuke, it can go both. It is primarily going to be special just because its special move pool is a little bit better. Yeah, so we'll get into that. So those are the stats. The abilities are obviously Poison Point, Poison Touch, and Adaptability, like we talked about. I'm just going to be straight with you here for a second. I don't see any universe where you don't run Adaptability on this thing. Adaptability is so strong in Little Cup, where every boost and percentage advantage you have over your opponent goes miles and miles a long way. So please run Adaptability on this thing. You're missing out on so much potential damage if you don't run it. Like, even if you run Poison Touch or Poison Point, if you get a poison through it, it's actually, I swear to God, it's going to be worth it over the damage you get over Adaptability, maybe 1 in 1,000 battles. So please run Adaptability, guys. I really advise you to do so. Another thing about Skrelp that's really interesting is that it is, because Dragalge is in Scarlet and Violet, which means that it gets access to Terra Blast, and that is actually a huge move for its move pool. I've listed it as a special move. Silly me, should have also listed it as a physical move, because that's the unique thing about Skrelp here. With Terrestrialization, it is actually a super fantastic, underrated Terra Captain pick for Little Cup Draft Leagues, because you can change your typing, maintain Adaptability Stab that you have for Poison and Water, and add a third type on top of that of your choice to gain Adaptability boost on. And if you don't have that coverage in your pool, you can just access that through Terra Blast. So if you're Terra Fire, you have a physical or special fire move, depending on if you're physical or special, right? So if you run physical, you see here in the physical move list, you have access to like Aqua Tail and Waterfall and Liquidation and Flip Turn. Flip Turn is amazing. We'll talk about Flip Turn later. Yeah, so you can run that alongside Gunk Shot for the adaptability, and then you also have like Terra Blast for the coverage of whatever you choose, which is amazing in the matchup that you're playing with your Skrelp. So if it's versus Diglett, you can go Ghost or Flying, and you don't have to put Shed Shell on this. You can just swap out because Arena Trap doesn't work on those typings. And Diglett is infamous as an infamous enemy of Skrelp, just like Gothita. Like, it doesn't like being trapped because although it has Flip Turn to get out of them, so you can predict them coming in, Skrelp is so slow, so it just gets outsped and hit by super effective Ground through Diglett or super effective Psychic through Gothita. So even though you have Eviolite and you become super tanky, you don't want to take all that damage for nothing if you can escape it. So if this thing is able to Terra and get it out of there for free and still hold that Eviolite, that's amazing. And Diglett and Gothita are not knockoff users either, so their switch punish is going to be less. And obviously, you still get to retain, you can retain other items as well. It doesn't have to be Eviolite. Skrelp absolutely loves using Eviolite. I highly recommend you use Eviolite on this, because it really enjoys the stat boosts from that, getting to 14. We'll get to that as you can see the stats, but it really enjoys Eviolite. But it can also run every single choice item, which is not very common in Little Cup. Everything can almost run Scarf in Little Cup. Like Scarf, you can pretty much slap a Scarf on anything and it becomes faster than what you want it to. But the interesting thing is usually you run Life Orb over Choice Band and Choice Spec specifically, because the rolls that you get in Little Cup are often going to be more favorable and less, you're not going to get as much bang for your buck if you go Choice Band and Choice Specs, because you have to lock yourself in, and the rolls are not that often that different from Life Orb. So it's more often worth it to just go Life Orb. But since you get the boost from adaptability, since you have another boost that you're adding on top of Choice Band or Choice Specs, then it actually becomes a much more viable strategy through the item. So this thing can run physical Choice Band, and that Flip Turn is going to hurt. Or you can, if they're really weak to water, you can run Flip Turn alongside another water move like Waterfall or Liquidation. Maybe you Scale Shot up for speed, and then you go like Life Orb, and then you go like Liquidation and Flip Turn, for example, because obviously you can't boost and switch up moves with Choice Band. But this thing hits like a truck, and no one knows about it, and I'm so astounded for why. And I've been oblivious about Skrelp myself for a long time, but this really is the kelp Pokemon. Like the reason it's named Skrelp is because it's a kelp Pokemon that makes you scream for help. That's what this is. So amazing. On the physical side, we have the Gunk Shot. It also gets player off for some reason, and it can also Thief Eviolite if you want to go that route. So that's definitely niche options that you can do. And in the sets that I list as well, I just want to make sure that you guys, when you see these items that I'm listing, and when you see the moves that I'm listing and stuff like that, these are not the only one true way you can run Skrelp. There are a bunch of ways you can run Skrelp. It all depends on the matchup that you're facing, and there are even really good items that are not listed on here just because they're matchup specific. Like for example, Shed Shell. Like you can run that, save your Eviolite, put it on something else, and then you have two Eviolites on bulky users that really deserve to use them and really love to use them. Not that Skrelp doesn't do that, but still, if you don't want to run Eviolite on Skrelp for that matchup, you can run Shed Shell to avoid traps instead of using your Terra or instead of using an Eviolite, stuff like that. So there are workarounds. Same with Safety Goggles. If you're facing Fungus and you think to yourself, damn, Skrelp would really like to come in on the Spore for free and start nuking things, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. Safety Goggles would be an excellent item in that situation, but I'm just trying to list like overall more usage item that you can do. My personal favorite to do with this is the Resist Berries, because the hits that you're going to tank are often predictable. So yes, although it helps to have Eviolite, I do often just end up running Eviolite on this because it's more universal. But if you know what hit you're going to tank, or Resist Berry works just as fine, and then you get to have your two Eviolites everywhere else. And that helps with the slow speed, because If your typing stays the same, or if you switch up your typing and run Resist Berry, you're slow, so the incoming hit is going to go first. You're going to tank damage. Resist Berry is going to cover that, so you take less damage, and then that's going to be a way of supporting your own slow speed. Flip turn being slow is amazing, but obviously this thing needs support because it has the damage. It has a little bit of utility, you know. In doubles, you can run Adaptability Surf, you can run Icy Wind, Acid Spray, stuff like that, which are really good options. You can also even, definitely run stuff like that. Sludge Wave hits both targets as well, so you're kind of good to go. But the thing is, in doubles, you can run like Trick Room with this. You can run Tailwind with this, and those are it's really easier. It's a lot easier because of the format to support the speed. But in singles, I'd say slap a Choice Scarf on it. Trick Room is going to be too hard to work with this. So just slap a Choice Scarf on it. Try to maybe even run it with Sticky Web. You can do stuff like that. Yeah, so that's way, or just use it as a Terra Captain or Resist Berry or Eviolite and try to plan out your hits so that you know you can live a hit, and then just plan to go second almost, so you can get off that adaptability damage. It's almost like analytic almost. you would think, but adaptability really helps this mon go a long way. So yeah, and it can also set up toxic spikes for itself and for your team. It's a grounded poison type if you don't Terra away from it or don't run boots, which is why I haven't listed boots here. Boots are obviously just primarily going to be reserved for the Pokemon that are weak to rocks in Little Cup. So either quad weak or regular weak. It's really good on like Fletchling, for example, to preserve its Gale Wings or stuff like that, or for Rufflet so it can come in multiple times and stuff like that. Yeah. Some it depends on what league you're running. Some lots of leagues don't run Rufflet as well. But yeah, so that's going to be the items, the moves, the stats, and abilities, and overall Skrelp knowledge in Yo Dome. Let's go over to some sets. So I've listed some sets here. Again, these are not the only sets you can run on Skrelp. There's a bunch of varieties and little tweaks you can do. I already talked about if you're running doubles, you can go Surf Sludge Wave instead of Hydro Pump. I would suggest Hydro Pump for the most part just because of the adaptability damage. But if you can't risk Hydro Pump, run Scald, dude. That's just as fine. And on even more so, I would say if you're running Eviolite, you can also just run Scald a lot more because you live to tank the hit in case a pump would miss and you would just Scald instead. While if you're running Choice Specs, I think you're going to get a lot more out of Hydro Pump, for example, because the damage is just going to be so much more significant, right? So I've listed some sets here that you feel free to pause the video and take screenshots and take notes and all that jazz if you're planning to use Skrelp. But as you can see, Flip Turn is on all of these, and Flip Turn is such an amazing move for it. I'm so sad that in Paldea decks, Skrelp and Dragalge lost their access to Flip Turn because it's like a Gen A cut move or whatever. But in National decks, they get to keep the move, which is amazing, right? So we take those every day. We love those every day. And not every National Decks league is going to allow Flip Turn either. But it says it's allowed in National Decks, and we're running with that. So at least for the league that I run, which you're happy to feel free to sign up for, by the way. Applications are live until August 27th, and link is in the description. Or you can also just contact me on Discord or YouTube, and I'll be able to hook you up. So yeah, these are some really good ideas for Skrelp in my opinion. I do think Water Terra is going to be your main bread and butter, your go-to, just because you already get adaptability boost on that instead of having to change up your typing and then get adaptability boost. But you can definitely do that. It's just because you have more move selection, right? Because your move pool for water is better. You have Scald, you have Hydro Pump, you have Waterfall, you have Liquidation, you have all that jazz. While if you run Fire and you want Fire coverage, you only have Terra Blast, right? So there's a little bit thing to keep in mind. Yeah, so there are physical variants for both the top left and the top right one, I would say, and maybe even the Choice Scarfer. Like, there's so much potential here. But you can run, like, just imagine, like, instead of Choice Specs, you run Choice Band and Eviolite, and then instead of Hydro Pump, you run Waterfall or Liquidation. Instead of Sludge Wave, you can run Gunk Shot. Instead of you can run Terra Blast and Physical with the Choice Band variant, but with the Eviolite variant, you can run T-Spikes and Flip Turn still, or you don't have to run Liquidation and Flip Turn. You can run, like, For example, Play Rough if you need the fairy coverage or stuff like that, or you can run Terra Blast even, like Terra Blast, Gunk Shot, T-Spikes, Flip Turn if you want. And then I also added a little saucy variant down below on the bot right, where it's a poison-focused nuke because its ability to set up toxic spikes and ability to remove them is so strong. I was thinking of some set where you just like set up some T-Spikes and then you Terra Poison Venoshock, and it's literally gonna one-shot, or it's gonna 1 to 2 hit KO everything in the format, aside from obviously steel types. But I think that's like a really, you can do a poison centric, like there's so many things you can do with this. I just wanted to open up your mind a little bit about Skrelp. So hopefully you guys, if you do decide to have it on your team, and if you do see the value that I do in it, then you have some weapons in your arsenal, and you come a little bit better prepared instead of glancing over this Pokemon in the format, because it really often goes unseen. So I really wanted to shine some spotlight and swirl my fancy wine while I talk to you guys about this Pokemon. The final rating on Wine Swirlix for Skrelp by your boy Soulblaze is going to be A-. 10 out of 14 points. That's what we're going to go with. I do think that's a fair assessment. It can be the hardest hitting thing in the format a lot of the times. It does have that, it has high peaks in terms of damage, but it needs that support. You need to come prepared. It's not the damage, more so like damage optimization is easier on this thing than in regular for things in Little Cup. So I'd say you're kind of like, if you don't know that much about the game, I think you're good either if you run Scald over Hydro Pump or the other way around, even if the other one would be better. But what you need to use your brain power on is how to get this guy going in terms of speed, because he is going to go last a lot of the time. And if this was the fastest thing in the format, it would easily be top tier, easily. But yeah, Skrelp just becomes this like really wine connoisseur, swirling my wine, fancy middle tier, perfect to talk about on the show. Not that I won't talk about top tiers, I'll talk about top tiers any day, but it's something that's stirring my heart a little bit about this Pokemon, that it often gets overlooked when it's so powerful, just because of the speed being bad. So obviously everyone has a counter to everything, and some Pokemon have to be slow too. So this might be the next perfect pick on your team. So I advise you to look into Skrelp before making a decision. That's going to be it for this time. Make sure to comment down below who you want to see me cover next on Wine Swirlix. I'm happy to take suggestions. I do have a list of Pokemon that I really want to talk about, that I really want to go through. But I'm open to suggestions. So I really look forward to seeing what you guys think about the Little Cup mons. So that's going to be it for this time. Thank you guys so much for watching this video of this episode of Wine Swirlix. I hope to see you back next time. This has been your boy Soulblaze, and as always, signing out. And take care of yourself, take care of your families. Peace.